The next great resource for local weather is now available.
DigitalWeatherDesk.com is your source for up-to-the-minute local weather. Add DigitalWeatherDesk.com to your favorites, download our app, and follow me on social media. The Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank.
Be working. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that. Sometimes the audio interface just gets weird. But I learned that I don't have to stop and restart the stream. I just have to unplug and replug it back in. And I also think, do you know what I honestly think is the problem with my microphone cutting out sometimes? And this is weird. As you take a look at dew points across the area, you saw the temperatures, you saw the radar, you saw all that stuff. But you know the weirdest thing about a lot of that is, I think Stanley, the cat, he likes the heat that comes out of the computers, and the computers are actually housed underneath the desk. And so he goes and he puts his nose up to the fan, like the heat, with the fan where all the heat's coming out. And sometimes he sees the cords and he'll start patting, and the audio interface plugs into the USB port in the back of the computer. And so every now and then he bats at those cords, and I think he loosens them up so that if the slightest little jiggle and everything goes haywire. So let's go back to this. And again, a reminder that today's forecast made possible by the United Way of Northeast Louisiana, the 211 initiative. Temperatures are in the upper 60s to low 70s. Again, visibility's fine. Dew points are in the 30s and 40s across southern Arkansas, 40s and 50s across northern Louisiana. Wind speeds, light for the time being, but as we set the stage for tomorrow, those winds will gradually increase as we go through the day. Day planner made possible by the Monroe Chamber of Commerce and Leaders of Change. You can learn more at monroe.org. As we go through as we go through the overnight hours tonight, why does it say 2 a.m.? Let's fix that. That's not supposed to be a night planner. It's supposed to be a day planner. Because I set it up for PM instead of AM. Oh boy, there it is. Mid-70s for highs for the rest of the day. I was wondering why it said 2 a.m. Because I put the wrong time in. 74 as we head toward midday or shortly after midday, and then into the early evening hours, still in the mid-70s, mid-60s tonight, eventually falling into the upper 50s to low 60s in some spots. Futurecast made possible by Bayou Power Sports, I-20 Frontage Road in Monroe. Haven't really seen any return cloud cover yet, but as we go through the nighttime hours tonight, we will see at least partly cloudy skies, probably even mostly cloudy by the time you wake up tomorrow. And then as we set the stage for the middle parts of the stretch of the day on Saturday, we'll get to the severe weather threat in just a second. But winds are back out of the south and southeast through the day tomorrow, with showers mainly scattered across the region through the early part of the day on Saturday. By Saturday night, we get some stronger low-level winds. The upper-level storm system starts to kind of move into place, and that helps to generate a large cluster of thunderstorms, or a large complex of thunderstorms that should sweep relatively quickly eastward across the area. It is running a little bit later than initially thought earlier in the forecast period, so if you did move some of those late-night Valentine's Day plans or those evening Valentine's Day plans, and you're thinking, wow, we probably just should have kept them where they were, you're still assuming a lot of chance of rainfall that you really just don't want to deal with. It'll also be breezy and cloudy and kind of gross out there. Most of those storms continue through the midnight time frame, advancing off to the east and out of our area during the pre-dawn hours on Sunday, but some wraparound drizzle, light rain, and breezy, cloudy conditions are expected for Sunday. So again, Friday is the best day of the weekend, to be honest with you. A check of what this looks like in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and as you watch this large upper level system move our direction, you can really start to see the bolder colors and the stronger winds associated with it that move through the region Saturday night. And we're going to need those stronger winds at the base of this trough of low pressure to generate any kind of strong to severe thunderstorm threat. There are some limited ingredients in terms of fueling any organized thunderstorms, one of them being dew points. We've talked about this over the last few days. You would typically want dew points at the surface to be in the mid-60s, or at least firmly into the low 60s, with some daytime heating to kind of help fester and destabilize the atmosphere. And we really don't have either one of those going into Saturday afternoon. It'll be probably overcast or at least mostly cloudy. So there's not really an opportunity to get a lot of solar radiation down to the Earth's surface. And then you also see dew points that are relatively meager. Along with that, lapse rates, which is basically how fast temperatures drop as you move in altitude. And it's kind of a general idea and a parameter that we use for a few different things. Hail formation's one of them, but also just how quickly a storm can build vertically in the atmosphere. And at the surface, those rates are pretty bleh, and they're just, again, doesn't really foster a lot of rapidly growing thunderstorms. When we do get the deep layered moisture in, working into the nighttime hours Saturday and into early Sunday, by that point, we may be kind of losing. We're going to lose a lot of the instability, or any instability that we've gathered up through the atmosphere, in the atmosphere through the course of the day. But we're also going to start maybe losing a little bit of the forcing in the atmosphere that really helps to propel a lot of the storms to begin with. So again, while we do have some ingredients to work with, they don't necessarily align overly favorably. Again, another one of those limited ingredients that we've been talking about for the last few days is storm energy, CAPE, convective available potential energy. During the peak heating hours of the afternoon, there's not a whole lot out there. So I wouldn't really expect any afternoon thunderstorms. It really takes until late Saturday night for us to really pull up any kind of appreciable surface-based instability. And even then, these are still very, very low numbers for what you would normally expect to need to help build thunderstorms. So we call this a high shear, low instability environment, meaning that in terms of severe weather ingredients, you're working with very low instability, and you're working with high amounts of wind shear. And that's what we're going to get to now, is because I know I show all this and say limited ingredients. And you go, well, if they're so limited, then why is there any concern at all? Because some ingredients are still excessively high in some instances, and one of those being storm relative helicity. I know it's indicated here as rotation potential, but helicity in the atmosphere is a measure of wind shear, and it also gives us a general parameter of how quickly and how readily updrafts can form. Updrafts, everybody always thinks tornadoes, but updrafts are just important in building thunderstorms of any type. And there is a lot of shear, especially as the mid-level guts of this system move into the region, along with the attending cold front. As all of that moves in Saturday night, wind shear values increase. So, again, it's not out of the realm of possibilities for us to get an organized, strong storm or two that could produce some damaging wind gusts. And the tornado threat is low, but it is not entirely zero, especially for our southern counties and parishes. You'll see that in the thunderstorm outlook in just a second. The other thing, though, is if your shear numbers are too high, and we've run into this in some forecast events, for what we look at in terms of big severe weather outbreaks, we oftentimes will run into the headache of we have shear that is so incredibly high in the atmosphere that it kind of grabs your attention for possible severe thunderstorms, but then sometimes there's too much shear and those updrafts can't stay organized because there's just too much wind and they just kind of rip apart. So you can work with limited ingredients, you can work with some limited ingredients and some great, but if you have too much of one ingredient, that can also be a problem. Weird stuff severe weather is. Again, once we work deeper into the Saturday night time frame, all the storms flush off to the east, and most of that starts to kind of wrap up across the area. And then the severe weather threat will probably be more focused along the Gulf coastline. Checking the severe weather threat as we go through the day tomorrow. Marginal risk for the vast majority of the I-20 corridor into southern Arkansas. The slight risk, level 2, has been introduced in the forecast by the Storm Prediction Center. Again, these are just ways of delineating the most favorable parameters that could support severe thunderstorms and the highest likelihood of supporting those severe storms. So slight risk level 2 out of 5 categories for our southern counties and parishes. Marginal risk from I-20 and northward. Damaging wind gusts across the entire area is our biggest concern. The tornado threat is low, but it is not zero. And that tornado threat increases a smidge for our far southern counties and parishes. Simply because, again, they would have those better surface dew points, better lapse rates, those types of things that could support those surface-based storms a little bit more readily for a longer period of time during the nighttime hours on Saturday. Still not a very long period of time, but a longer period of time nonetheless. So as we go into the forecast for Saturday night and Sunday, rainfall forecast totals will vary anywhere from about an inch along the Mississippi Valley, where those storms move through a little bit faster, to some storm-driven rains of up to 1.5 inches, 2 inches in the northwestern counties and parishes, where the storms may be a little slower to start as they develop and kind of get more organized, and then surge eastward and move through a little bit more swiftly later on in the evening. That does lead to at least the potential for some localized street flooding, flash flooding, excessive rainfall. So the excessive rain outlook is as follows. Not a lot's changed in the forecast. Mid-70s for highs today. We'll just climb a few more degrees from where we are right now. Rain chances close to 0. Upper 50s to near 60 tonight as the clouds start to roll back in. And a look at the 7-day forecast made possible by 3B Hardware shows the rain chances dropping down for Saturday, up for Sunday. That's the most significant change in the forecast. Obviously, the bulk of those rain chances is Saturday night, Sunday morning. And again, I keep saying this, that if you go to the app, or to digitalweatherdesk.com and you look at the rain totals or the rain forecast, the rain chances as we go through the nighttime hours, Saturday night and Sunday, it's 100% across the board. So this is one of those instances where I probably should have just put 100% in between Saturday and Sunday, but you get the general drift. Highs near 70 Sunday, Monday. Morning lows back in the low 50s for at least a brief period of time. And then we're back near 80 next week. Go figure. Weird spring or weird winter. Feels like spring. Forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app, available for Apple and Android users. I will check in with you a little bit later this afternoon. Also going to work on typing all of what I just told you up so you can have a look at that as we prepare for showers and storms to return across the region tomorrow night and into early Sunday. Again, don't be misled by those rain chances. The best chances will be overnight Saturday and into early Sunday. I'll check in with you in a couple of hours. Thanks so much for making the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank part of your day, and have a great rest of your Friday.